Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 26 of the Anime Banter podcast with your host, Turtle, Sean, and Mike. Thank you for joining us today. How are you all doing?
I have the sniffles.
And I am just getting over the sniffles.
You gave it to me, Sean.
I am the only healthy one on this podcast.
For now.
I better knock on some wood.
That's right. Yeah, we're both coming over. We're gonna get you sick now.
Never! I'm actually getting my next COVID booster here in the next day or two.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting one. Before Halloween festivities.
Yeah, with the uptick and everything, it just makes sense to get it again. And then I'll get my flu shot in a couple weeks.
And I'll be going on vacation in November.
My mother-in-law's in the medical field, so she recommends doing flu shots in like the middle of October. That way it lasts you through the entire holiday season.
Oh.
But they recommend doing the COVID booster now because the booster currently is more similar to the variant that's out there. So the longer you wait, the more the variant can change and the vaccine may not be as effective. And that's the medical update.
Excellent.
Let's talk about something more fun.
Yeah. Sorry if I'm less energetic on this recording. I'm very low energy today.
People, lend Turtle your energy.
Yeah, I mean,
Spirit bomb.
even if Turtle's healthy by the time you hear this, he's still gonna need your energy, though.
Yes. I promise to take it and not give it back.
Turtle, I'll say Turtle edits our videos, and that takes a great amount of energy. So thank you, Turtle, for what you do.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate the acknowledgement. There's I haven't been able to play Final Fantasy 16 in like a month just because I've been working on editing this and the YouTube channel and trying to write music for Eric's game when I can. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm always doing something, and if I'm not doing something, that means I've crashed and I'm asleep. So
Sean, I believe you just got back from doing some traveling.
Yeah, my uncle had a birthday party in New York City, and I thought about our podcast. My brother, who lives in New York, took me through Times Square. We were going over to K Town, Koreatown, where they have like Asian grocery stores. Where I got myself some Asian ice cream. But on the way there, we walked through Times Square, and lo and behold, we walk by, and I'm like, "What's that?" And I see a big Gundam in a store window. I'm like, hold
ooh,
up, what is this? I look up. There's a store that just opened in Times Square called Tamashii Nations, and it is an anime merch store in Times Square. Unbelievable. I couldn't believe my eyes. Turns out I went there the day they opened, and I had to check it out, right? So I go inside. And not only do they let me put it this way, they have your regular things. It's mostly Bandai merchandise. You're gonna find your Gundam stuff everywhere. There are a ton of Gundams. They've got Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball, One Piece. They had replicas of Demon Slayer swords. Like if you like, I don't know, any of the characters' swords, they had a bunch for sale there, just as like plastic props, so you could display them, which was super cool. And they also had their own Tamashii Nations exclusive figures. So they had, for example, the one that popped in my mind immediately was Dragon Ball. They had a Goku from Dragon Ball, and the box has the store's logo on it. So you could just, for $35, which is extremely affordable. So it was just really cool seeing something like that in Times Square, and how anime is really hitting the mainstream hard.
Scoop anything up while you were there?
Well, that's a good question. There are a couple things that were tempting. I would have bought. So my wife is a huge Gundam Wing fan, and they had some Gundam Wing Gundams there. But the ones they had, apparently part of their thing that they were doing was trying to promote Bandai Premium. And Bandai Premium is, how do I say? Number one, we're not sponsored by Bandai Premium, but Bandai Premium, if you'd like to sponsor us, please let me know. Tell me some Gundam Wing stuff. Uh, but anyway, They were trying to get people to be aware of Bandai Premium, so they had like a big showcase of Bandai Premium stuff. And on Bandai Premium, buy, you can pre-order limited quantities of things like uh, Gundam kits, specialty anime merch, Digimon and One Piece card game stuff, uh, and Dragon Ball Super card game stuff. They sell like limited things through there where they're like promos you can only get from ordering through the Bandai Premium store. So it's free to sign up, and like you don't have to do anything. They just send you emails, and I don't mind getting the emails 'cause they tell you when they have new merch in. So like it's just free to sign up, but you have to like sign up for their services to like be a yeah, to be able to buy anything. So yeah, there's like no downside to signing up. There's no fee or anything. You sign up for it and then you start getting emails for cool merch.
I am signed up for Premium Bandai because of the One Piece card game because they've released some, promos and special play mats and card boxes and stuff like that. So I am signed up for that, and they do have some really cool stuff on there. All kinds of things from figures, card games if you're into that end of it. Like shirts, all kinds of stuff related to anime that Bandai's involved with. So it is really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean if you if you're in New York City and you're an anime nerd and you need to get your anime fix, hit Tamashii Nations to head down to K Town. Oh, and K Town was really cool because they had on one street they had like six karaoke places where like you and your friends could go rent a room and do karaoke. Plus, like I said, Asian grocer, Asian food everywhere. So it's mostly Korean, but they had other Asian stuff as well. So it was very cool, very interesting place. Glad my brother could take me.
Did you do any karaoke?
No, we didn't have the time. Also, just me and my brother. So if we had a bigger group, maybe. But I have done karaoke. When I was in Japan, I did. It was just my wife and I, and that was fun. And then I did it again in the U.S. At a place called Cobra, which is a Korean barbecue place. So I went down to Cobra, did karaoke, then got Korean barbecue afterwards. Um, Let it be known that that is a very expensive venture. Uh, Going down to Cobra and doing that, especially if you like drinking alcohol.
But you had a good time, right?
Fantastic time. Yeah.
It's all that matters. It is crazy that you went to Tamashii Nations on the very first day it opened.
What a weird coincidence, right? Pittsburgh
Yeah,
anime fan shows up in New York City, finds an anime store as soon as it opens. My brother, who lives in New York, didn't even know it was opening. We walked by. He's like, "What's this?"
What a great find.
it was meant to be.
It was meant to be. It was destiny. And then, of course, my flight on Sunday got canceled, and then I took the train home Monday instead. Not the Mugen train, like from Demon Slayer. So there was
Oh,
no demons, no demon slayers.
Was the gambler on the train?
The gambler was not on the train that I know of. And nobody suplexed the train for my Final Fantasy fans.
got to watch out for Saban. He's known to suplex things.
It was not a ghost train. I'm trying. There's got to be a bunch of other cool anime stuff that's happened on trains, right? I mean, you'd think
I'd be surprised if there wasn't an anime about trains.
I'm gonna Google it right now.
there has to be.
You would think. There's animes about everything else.
Oh, I know
Oh,
they had a lot of trains in Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress, which is essentially like a almost like a steampunk anime world that was it was like Attack on Titan but just zombies kind of.
that's the
And they
first
could
one that came up.
Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress.
Yes, Demon
Yeah,
Slayer was number two, and then this is an old one from 1993. The Brave Express Midnight Gain.
never heard of that one.
Me neither. But yeah, there's a handful of stuff that involves train or train-like spaceships.
They need to do a Thomas the Tank Engine anime.
Uh, what?
I mean, I'd be okay with it. Oh, hold up, guys! I found there's one called Rail Wars. Rail Wars is a thrilling anime who follows our protagonist who aims to become a driver on the Japanese national railways. His journey takes an unexpected turn as he ends up in a security division and must protect the trains and passengers from various threats. There we go. So that's really like Rail Wars is probably your best bet on
That'll
that one.
that'll be our next show we cover, right?
I want to, yeah, yep, we're going full train. Oh, and Bakano apparently. You guys hear Bakano?
I have not.
I haven't
Apparently, it's
either.
like a very organized crime focused one, kind of. From what I understand, it's set in the 1930s, primarily aboard a train called the Flying Pussyfoot. Uh, yeah, I don't know. It's characterized by its nonlinear storytelling, intertwining the lives of several characters with unique backgrounds and motives. As the plot unravels, viewers witness the chaos, violence, and supernatural elements that make this journey one to remember. See, it's funny because our listeners are going to hear all this and they're like, are they dropping hints for what they're going to listen to next? Because let's face it, we're wrapping up season one of Vinland Saga very soon, and are we going to do season two right now, or are we going to pick another anime? Well, we're keeping you in suspense.
That's right.
Just have to tune in and listen.
Say reach out to us on social media if you think we should keep going with Vinland Saga or if you think we should take a break and check out something else.
I mean, we love suggestions, so if people have suggestions, tag us, message us.
Just make sure it's good because I don't want to watch, not good show. I was gonna say bad shows. I don't want to like say a show is bad, even though sometimes they kind of are. But like I want to watch something good. You know,
Yeah, we've been watching new stuff, and if someone wants us to go back and watch something old, like that's okay. I'm not opposed to that. There might be one that perhaps Turtle or I have seen, but there's a good chance that Mike hasn't seen it because he is newer to the anime world outside the mainstream. So at least one person it would be new to.
Outlaw Star.
Mm, I did watch that pretty recently, but it's a good one.
I like it a lot.
That's just that space cowboy stuff. We just watched Trigun,
Yeah,
and you know, I would say I feel like we shouldn't review Cowboy Bebop 'cause I feel like everyone reviews Cowboy Bebop. But
Yep. I
that's
mean,
fair.
it's a great anime, but yeah, it's
yeah,
like
it's
the
one of the
go-to
great.
anime for everyone to talk about.
Hmm.
You just turn on Cartoon Network's Adult Swim any night of the week, and it's probably on in the wee hours of the morning. 3 a.m. They got an hour block. You know what I mean? It's never been taken off the air.
Shall we jump into the Vinland Saga?
Hit it.
Today, we are talking about episodes 21 and 22 of Vinland Saga Season 1. Episode 21, Reunion. The narrator is back, baby! We learn that York is a major town for slave trade, and the Vikings own York, so they make most of that money. And this is important because we see Lave going around to all the slave markets, buying all the slaves to liberate them. He sees this as his way of paying his debt off to Thor's for saving his life.
By buying slaves.
But he frees them.
Sure.
Telling people is wrong, but
We're
buying
on to you,
them,
Leaf.
to set them free, not so bad.
Nah, yeah, we like Leaf here.
He's a good one.
One of like three good people in the entire series. That might be too
There's not
many.
there's not many. It's like Lave, Prince Canute, and Ragnar.
Prince Canute's kind of on the fence here. We don't know what he's going to do in the future. Right now, he's
That's
all right, but
that's true.
Yeah,
I f
actually, I could see Canute getting real out of hand really fast.
I mean,
yeah,
up to this point, Canute's been fine.
he's just recently become unhinged, so we don't know what he's going to do.
A dockmaster comes up to Lave and his ship and tells them they need to leave immediately as royalty is coming. We see a new look Prince Canute and Askeladd as they are talking, as they arrive in York. And Lave is shocked as they sail by, and Lave recognizes Askeladd, saying he would never forget that face. So shit's about to go down.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that myself. I was like, I hope Askeladd doesn't recognize him.
I don't think so. I don't think Lave and Askeladd had enough one-on-one time together to really Askeladd to remember Leif.
Yeah, he was probably just, like one of the guys on the ship in the background. His target was Thor's, so like the other guys were just like random dudes. I don't think he would remember Leaf either.
As Askeladd and Prince Canute are talking on the ship, Askeladd tells Prince Canute, "Hey, something's gonna happen. Your father's here. He's gonna either make you take one half of York and Thorkel take the other half and split us and cause a infighting between us, or he has some other game, like, oh, I don't know, you getting assassinated." And literally, as he says that, Prince Canute gets shot with a crossbow.
Well, show's over.
uh, when this happened, I'm like, what are the odds that Askeladd hired this assassin?
Yeah, I was also thinking, but I wasn't necessarily thinking that Askeladd hired the assassin, but I was thinking at least they had a body double, expecting an assassination. But you were a step ahead of me there, Mike.
I didn't come to that conclusion at all. I thought Askeladd was just straight up like, "Hey, you might die here, wink, wink," and then he gets shot, and I was like, "Oh man, Askeladd's like, he's just killing everybody now." But it turns out I was wrong.
So Thorfinn, with broken arm, confronts the assassin and throws him in the path of Leif. And then Thorfinn just jumps down like it's Assassin's Creed and takes the assassin out. And when Thorfinn stands up and looks at Leif looks like he's seen a ghost because he immediately like, no, it can't be him. Like he starts thinking, I think that's Thorfinn, but like he's not 100% sure. And the reunion we've been waiting for is here, baby.
I was gonna say, weren't we just talking about this in our last episode?
Pretty sure. I thought it was a little funny that the people of York have never seen a crossbow before. They're like, "Oh, what is that weapon?" It's like, "What? Wait, what? Like you're a slave market. How have you not seen a crossbow somewhere?"
Well, this is where a time in history where I'm not sure how. I don't know the history of weapons very well. And the crossbow really changed the game because it can pierce armor in a lot of ways, right? So you would have these guys with short bows that couldn't pierce armor, but a crossbow could at a short distance. And then eventually, when the longbow took over, we don't see longbows here. The longbow took over from a long distance. A longbow could pierce heavy armor, like a knight would wear. So I don't think we're there yet, but yeah, I guess maybe we're in the early days of the crossbow because the French and the English both had them, didn't they?
I thought so. I just figured that with it being a slave market, you would have people like patrolling with crossbows to make sure nothing got out of hand. I mean, maybe I'm just overthinking it.
Yeah, we also kind of think like Port Town, you get a lot of visitors, so you would see something exotic like that, right?
You would
Even though it
think
wasn't
either for
common.
like people trading or whatever it might be.
Yeah, maybe Vikings didn't really use crossbows. I don't know. At least at
Yeah.
that time.
Someone then tries to pin the assassination on Thorfinn, and Thorfinn just loses his patience and says, fuck you, and he punches him out. Which I thought was hilarious. Like, the guy's just running his mouth, and Thorfinn's like, rolls his eyes and turns and clocks the dude.
I really like that scene. It made me laugh. I think that was the same dockmaster who told Leaf to move.
I
He's
believe
like,
so.
"Oh, you must be with the assassin." He's like, "No, I just stopped the guy." He's like, "Oh, well, you have the face of a liar." And he's like, "Whatever," and he just decks him. It was pretty great.
And then other people start putting two and two together. They see Thorfinn's knives, and they realize, this kid is a knife wielder. And they ask him, "Are you Thorfinn Karlsefni?" And Thorfinn's like, "That's a weird surname. Like, what are you talking about?" And then they're like, he's like, "Yeah, my name's Thorfinn." And they're like, "Oh shit, this kid bested Thorkel in a duel. We should totally back off."
That was interesting to me. I guess rumors spread quickly, don't they?
I mean, when you take down Thorkel, I feel like in a duel, I feel like your reputation grows very quickly.
Well, rumors is gonna. That's definitely the theme of this episode.
Yes, that it is. Leif then asks Thorfinn if he's from Iceland and if he's the son of Thor's. And Thorfinn just sort of looks at him confused, like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, at first he's like, "What? Who's asking me these questions?" And then we see young Leif and old Leif faces side by side, and they overlay. And Thorfinn's like, the light bulb goes off. He's like, "You're old man Leif, and this time you're actually are old."
Yeah, he has not aged gracefully, huh?
Leif then gives him a big hug and starts to cry, and this moment made me so happy.
Yeah, I was also happy for Leaf, but it looks like he doesn't want anything to do. Thorfinn doesn't really
Yeah,
want anything to do with Leaf.
I
yeah.
felt really bad for Leaf coming up here.
It was just nice to finally get a happy moment.
Very
'Cause
true.
we haven't had one of those for a while in this show. Prince Canute's men are rushing Prince Canute on a gurney. They're like, "Oh, is he gonna survive? Oh, that bolt wound looks pretty deep." Like, and they're like, "Oh, your your Majesty, we're gonna we're gonna cut your clothes to try and take the bolt out." And when they cut the shirt of Prince Canute, it's revealed that Prince Canute is a woman, and everyone's shocked. And they're like, "Oh, I heard rumors that he was a woman, but I didn't think it was for real." And they're all like, "Oh man, I can't believe this is what's happening." And then Prince Canute and Askeladd walk up. They're like, "We hired a body double, not the real Prince Canute. Real Prince Canute is fine." And then Prince Canute's like, "Oh, well, where did you find a man to do that?" Like, Prince Canute seemed a little taken aback that it was a woman portraying him. And Askeladd's like, "We looked high and low for another man to portray you, but we just couldn't do it. And this was a woman we found on the slave market to match your description." And as they're talking, they walk past Floki, and Floki is looking pissed that Prince Canute is still alive. And as they walk by, Askeladd throws some shade at Floki.
I really like that. That was pretty funny to me.
Same. Yeah, Floki's losing a step.
I'm waiting for that, Askeladd Floki showdown, or for Askeladd to let the cat out of the bag about Floki hiring him to kill Thor's something. I'm waiting for that confrontation.
I was gonna say, so we got 2 episodes left, and I know nothing about these 2 episodes. I've not watched them, whether the listeners believe me or not. Uh, there's a possibility. You know how like Thorfinn just kind of keeps doing Askeladd's dirty work, and like it makes you wonder if Askeladd is gonna pull out the trump card in the "I only killed your dad because I was asked to by the king and Floki," right? So if he's like, "Floki came to me and asked me to kill Thor's. I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for Floki." Is this gonna get Thorfinn all riled up and he's gonna go like kill the king in his sleep or something? Because King's got to die, right? Or something's got to go down in that final episode.
It all feels very like the explosion is about to like happen. You have Floki, Thorkel, Askeladd, and Thorfinn and Lave all in one area. Like, Lave knows what happened, and they all know. Like, Thorkel and Thorfinn don't realize the entire backstory, but like Lave and Thorfinn know Askeladd killed Thor's. Askeladd knows Floki hired him to kill Thor's. Floki knows King Swain. Well, we don't know that for sure that Floki got word from King Swain to kill Thor's. But Thorkel is completely in the blue on this. Like, he knows nothing about the situation. And it just feels like a powder keg is about to explode.
Oh, that's something I didn't think about because now that we know Thorkel's backstory, what happens when he finds out who killed Thor's? Is he going to go off the deep end and take out Askeladd?
Mm,
Is he going to rage for his lost brother?
I'm gonna say no.
The brother he not to, never got to defeat in battle.
Right? Like that was his goal. That's what drove him to be a better warrior. So I could see him turning on Askeladd pretty quick
Uh,
if he
I mean,
finds
he's
out.
pretty much willing to just murder Thor's son. So I just don't think he cares that much. Like, personally, like that's just my thing. I'm just like, it's like if he cares that Askeladd killed Thor's, I think he'll just be really disappointed when he hears about how it was done. I don't think he's gonna go to murderous rage, or I think he wants to probably just kill Floki anyway, so it's all good.
I mean, if Thorkel were to care about anybody or taking revenge for anybody, it seems like it would be Thor's.
That's sort of what I thought. Like, it feels like
I don't know. I'm still not convinced.
I guess we'll see what happens.
we'll see if we ever find out. Leif and Thorfinn are talking, and Leif learns that Thorfinn is after vengeance. And Leif feels sorry for Thorfinn and vows he can help him move on. And Thorfinn's like, "Oh, well, what about? Tell me about Vinland." Like, that's what Thorfinn really cares about when he's talking to Leif. He's like, "Did anyone make a village there yet? Like, tell me more about it. Like, how's it looking? Like, I wish my father got there. Yada yada yada." And Leif is like, "Don't you want to know about your mother whose health is worsening, and your sister? And you should go visit them." And Thorfinn's like, "I didn't ask you about them. I asked you about Finland, and I don't care about things that I didn't ask about." And then Thorfinn asks Leif what he knows about him since that day that Thor's died. And Thorfinn tells Leif, vengeance isn't a waste as long as Askeladd is still eating, breathing, and shitting. And then Leif wonders what happened to that sweet, sweet, innocent Thorfinn. And he begs Thorfinn to come back home and says he will wait for him.
This is the part I felt really bad for Leaf.
I mean, but the thing is, here's the key thing. I think I set up for next episode. I think crap is gonna go down. Personally, crap's gonna go down, and Thorfinn's gonna be leaving on a boat with Leaf under like the cover of night.
Yeah, I think that the conversation, whether Thorfinn wants to admit it or not, the conversation with Leif definitely drives the next episode and Thorfinn wanting a duel. I think Thorfinn, like, as we learn in the next episode, Thorfinn is very weak in the mental game, and it's very easy to throw him off. I don't think Leif was trying to throw Thorfinn off his game, but I think Thorfinn mentally started thinking, oh man, I would like to see my mother again. I would like to see my sister again. And I am tired of like fighting. And like he even makes mention, he's like, is that all deception? Is that all this world is deception and not like what is the way of a warrior? We then see Bjorn. He's still alive for now.
Bjorn lives.
Yeah, I thought they were killing him off screen.
I am so glad that didn't happen. I had the same fear. I'm like, oh man, they're gonna kill Bjorn off screen. It's gonna be a real bummer. And Askeladd brings Bjorn some liquor, and they talk a little bit, and you could tell Bjorn is not in good shape. Like he's sweating profusely and just not in good shape. And when Askeladd was leaving, he almost sounded sorrowful for Bjorn. And I'm like, did Askeladd poison Bjorn? Like, was this Askeladd's way of like letting him go easily?
No, I think it's just his wound to the gut is pretty much a death sentence at this point in time.
Yeah, I think he just wants an honorable death in combat,
Yeah,
even if he gets one swing in.
I agree, but there are some things that I wouldn't put past Askeladd when I see them at first glance.
That's fair. He's done some shady things.
It was pretty devious, but this was one I think was Bjorn's choice. He was doing his man a solid.
We then see King Swain and Floki on the top of a castle, and King Swain asks Floki if they have been outwitted, and Floki apologizes and says yes. And we learn that the people of York are already talking about the assassination attempt on Prince Canute. And they're like, oh, I can't believe that happened in our backyard. And like, we thought we were safe here. And then we see people in a bar. They're like Viking warriors, like wondering why Prince Canute was the one that was targeted when King Sweyn was in town. Because they're like, oh, it makes total sense that Prince Canute would be possibly assassinated. He's royalty. And then someone's like, yeah, but the king's here, and Prince Canute's the second in line. Like, something doesn't add up. So, like, the rumors and the talk is starting. And then we get a nice transition to Askeladd talking about starting the rumors. And it was very fitting that we saw a spider and a spider web while Askeladd was talking.
Absolutely.
We then learn, as I had guessed and assumed and had a feeling, that Askeladd hired the assassin and he's like, we needed to get the people talking, we need to get bad publicity on King Swain. And Gunnar looks less than pleased at this reveal. Thorkel, on the other hand, is very impressed with Askeladd. Prince Canute then says to Askeladd, I'm glad you did this. It was a good plan, but I'm never allowing you to use a double again. And Askeladd's like, that's fair. I only need to do it once.
Yeah, he's like, you don't do this plan twice, so
Yeah,
like
you
it's.
can't keep faking assassinations.
It reminds me of this old school story where like apparently the Doors played I think the Ed Sullivan Show, and they said no matter what happens, light my fire. You can't say because girl we couldn't get much higher. You weren't allowed to say higher because it was like that implies drug use, right? So like they said when they went on air, like you cannot say this lyric. Make it something else. You can't say it. So of course they went on Ed Sullivan. They said it, and they went back and they were furious, and they're like, "You'll never play Ed Sullivan again." And they're like, "Who cares? We played Ed Sullivan. You don't need to play Ed Sullivan twice. You only need to play it once." Uh, and that's like here, you'll never use a double again. Well, kind of only need a double once. We're not doing this again.
We need a double for the double. They'll never expect the double double.
A double double, a triple, a quad. What would you call that?
A Royale with cheese.
Ah, I like it.
Some gourmet shit. Askeladd looks skeptical of Gunnar and believes that Gunnar is working for King Swain. And Prince Canute's a little surprised at this. He's like, "Why would you think that? If you do think that, why would you just say your entire plan in front of him and let him leave?" And we learn that Askeladd is feeding the information that he wants to be fed to Gunnar. And Askeladd has Thorfinn shadowing Gunnar. And sure enough, Gunnar is working for the king.
Yeah, I mean, the puppet master Askeladd here putting his plan into motion. Um, what can I say? It's gone full Game of Thrones.
Thorfinn follows the scout to the king's palace. And this is where we see Thorfinn just shocked at how the world works. He's like, is this really all the world is? Are all these so-called warriors just playing a game of deception and that's all politics is? And he seems very pissed off at this thought. And he's like, is this really the way of the warrior? And as he says that, we can see him gripping his knife, and it's like, all right, what is Thorfinn do something really dumb?
He often does.
We then are on the top of a hill, and it's snowing, and Thorfinn walks up behind Askeladd, and Askeladd's like, this really couldn't have waited till after the council meeting. And Thorfinn throws his cloak off, and I about lost it at the sight of him having a knife taped to his broken arm.
Yeah, that definitely made me laugh too. I wasn't ready for that. I was like, his arm's busted. How's he gonna duel? Oh, well, I guess that makes sense.
I mean, as we learn, it wasn't very effective, but it was a good. It was a college. He gave it the old college effort,
Yeah,
and even Askeladd's like, "Come on, Thorfinn. Why don't we wait till your arm heals? We don't need to do this right now." And Thorfinn's like, "Yes, we do. Fuck you, old man. We must fight now. I must kill you." And Prince Canute's like, "I am here to play witness, and when I say the duel stops, it stops, and there will be no killing." And then Askeladd's like, hold on, I have another appointment to take care of first. And we see Bjorn walking up the hill, looking in rough shape. And Bjorn apologizes to Thorfinn for delaying his duel. And Bjorn is out of breath from the walk up, which was heartbreaking to see.
yeah. This was kind of rough for me. I mean, Bjorn wasn't like a favorite character of mine, but I feel like he got done dirty, and I wasn't ready for this.
Bjorn and Askeladd then square off to duel. And before the duel starts, Bjorn, get some inner monologue for Bjorn, and he's like, "Has Askeladd loathed me since they met? Have we met? Like, he loathes everyone else. Like, were any of us like? Did he care about any of us?" And then, what was really heartbreaking during this inner monologue was when Bjorn said all he wanted was for the two of them to be friends.
Yeah, I mean, if there was one guy who I was like, yeah, like that's Askeladd's friend, it was probably Bjorn, probably the closest guy.
The duel then starts, and Bjorn charges Askeladd, and Askeladd stabs Bjorn in the chest, and he immediately apologizes, saying, "Oh shit, sorry man, I was aiming for your heart and I missed. Don't worry, I'll end this. Like, please forgive me, and I'll end this quickly for you." And before Askeladd can finish Bjorn off, Bjorn's like, "Askeladd, Askeladd," and like he's whispering. You'd tell he's in severe pain, obviously. And Bjorn's like, "All I ever wanted was for us to be friends." And Askeladd says they were friends, and he calls Bjorn the only friend he ever had, which brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah, but do you wonder if Askeladd just told him that because that's what he wanted to hear?
I don't think so. I think the two of them were truly friends.
Even if Bjorn wasn't necessarily Askeladd's friend, he's probably the closest thing he's ever had to it. So I guess that makes him his friend.
Yeah. I don't know if Askeladd knows what it means to have a friend.
I think, especially with the next episode when we learn what we learn about Askeladd, and we will get there. Um, I think he is intentionally not gotten close enough to anyone to be friends, but Bjorn was the closest thing he's ever had.
Probably accurate. Yeah.
And now it is time for Mike's Beer of the Week. This week's beer comes to you from Hitchhiker Brewing and is their a 6% peanut butter and jelly sour. It has a really nice peanut butter and raspberry smell to it, and when you pour it out, it has a nice pink hue to it from the raspberries that it was conditioned on. For being a sour, not too sour. Really good taste. It has a nice balance of the peanut butter and the raspberry jelly. More on the raspberry side of things than the peanut butter side of things. You definitely get the peanut butter smell, not so much the taste. My brother actually got me a 4-pack of this beer for watching their house and their dogs for them. The untapped average rating is a 3.99, and I give it a 4. Episode 22, Lone Wolf. Why does the episode have to start with making us relive the death of Bjorn and making me feel sad?
Not only does it replay that entire sequence, it hits you with that orchestral music this time around. And it's just sad, man.
You got to do it again. Didn't have enough.
The good thing I have my box of tissues here for my nose. Jeez.
The duel hasn't started yet, but Thorfinn can tell something feels off. Then Thorkel and Prince Canute are talking, and Thorkel asks Prince Canute who he thinks will win the duel. And Prince Canute's like, I don't really care. Just let them get this out of their system so we can move on.
He just wants no blood. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's like, as long as no one's dead, we're okay.
Yep. Like, Prince Canute is not about this at all.
You can tell he thinks it's kind of annoying, actually.
I was thinking
Like,
that, like,
do we have to do this, guys?
Prince Canute's like, we have other bigger plans. Is this really what we have to do right now?
That and Thorkel's over there like, hey, how much do you want to bet that who's gonna win? He's like, I'm not making any bets. He's like, oh, why not?
Thorkel always coming in the clutch for us.
Then, because Prince Canute won't pick a winner, Thorkel's like, okay, well, who do you think is stronger? And Prince Canute's like, I don't know. Like, I don't really care. Who do you think's stronger? And Thorkel's like, that's a tough question. But I believe Askeladd's stronger due to his aura. And I fucking lost it at this next bit. Prince Canute's like, oh, so what you're saying is Thorfinn beat you, and you're saying Askeladd's stronger than Thorfinn. So then Askeladd's stronger than you. and Thorkel was about to lose his mind. The visuals when Thorkel asked Prince Canute if he was mocking him were top notch.
Yeah, when he's like, he got like that shadowy, like big head look behind him, like they have it. He's like, "Oh, so you think I'm weaker than these two, huh?"
I was ready for him to just grab Prince Canute and rip him in half.
That was funny.
I was laughing so hard at that. It's like, oh man, these two need more interactions if that's gonna if this is how it's gonna play out every time.
Yeah, actually, the Thorkel Canute, that could be quite a comedy duo. Like, Canute's the straight man, and like Thorkel is like the off the wall crazy one.
Just don't make him too mad.
Would be a good buddy cop movie or odd couple movie.
Yeah.
So the duel begins, and Thorfinn doesn't do anything. And Ascot's like, all right, what's going on? Like, come on, you asked for this. So then Ascot's like, fine, I'll make it easy for you. And he throws his sword away. And Ascot's like, all right, come on, come attack me. Let's get this over with. So then Thorfinn goes in for an attack, and Ascot blocks it. Just catches his arms. He's like, I knew this was going to happen. Like, it's the same shit every time. And then Ascot's like, asks Thorfinn if he sees why the result is always the same when they fight. And Thorfinn's like, shut up, old man. Shut up and duel me. Fight me. I don't care. And then we just see Askeladd laying the absolute smackdown on Thorfinn in the background once again.
Some things never change. He's just absolutely crushing Thorfinn.
Yeah, this episode is like, from beginning to end, is just like the assassination of Thorfinn physically and mentally. Like, he loses every single battle harshly in this episode. It is so brutal.
It's a bad time to be Thorfinn.
He's like totally broken down physically, mentally. He's broken down to nothing now.
Thorkel then asks Prince Canute, while Thorfinn is getting his ass kicked, why the two of them are fighting. Prince Canute says he didn't ask, and that's when I'm like, oh boy, we have some shit to unpack in the future. We're gonna need a therapy session when that news comes to light.
Thorkel's gonna throw the couch.
Yeah.
Just starts beating with people with the couch.
That is a therapy session I don't want to go to.
He uses it like the home run bat in Smash.
You hear the sound effect and everything.
Right, he uprooted a whole tree earlier and used it like the home run bat from Smash.
Askeladd wins the duel, and Prince Canute stops it. He's like, all right, it's over. Because it looks like at one point, Askeladd walks over to Thorfinn and like has his sword ready, and it looks like he's ready to kill him. And Prince Canute's like, I said stop. That's enough. Like, and Askeladd's not listening to Prince Canute at all. And we see Askeladd raise his sword and he slam it down. And we see that Askeladd stabbed the snow next to Thorfinn's head.
Don't you mean the love next to his head?
The love. Feel the love, man.
I'm never gonna let that go, by the way. Snow is love. What?
It's only a matter of time before we get a lot of love in Pittsburgh.
No, don't say those things.
Winter is coming.
I was about to say, to quote the Starks, winter is coming.
Yeah, for real though, my wife, she loves fall so much. And I tell her the fall depresses me, and she's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because the good times are over. There's only winter." See, the thing is that my ideal weather is like 75 and over. I don't like anything even remotely cold. Like, if you're like 73 is not cold, I'm like, well, we're cutting it too close for my liking. So
I'm with you there. I'm with you.
yeah, I just like the warmth, and it just really sucks whenever things get cold because I don't mind hoodie weather. It's not so bad. Like, you just put on like a sweatshirt and it's not so bad. But I don't know. It's I don't like it. I do not like it at all. So yeah, like watching these scenes made me cold.
See, give me spring and fall anytime because I love the 60 to 70 degree weather where even if it's humid, it still has a nice cool breeze to the air. I can still wear shorts, and if it gets a little chilly, I can wear a hoodie. But like, give me the 60 to 70 degrees, and I'll be a happy camper.
I get that. Give me spring though, because I know that the good weather's coming.
That's true.
Sorry.
But
Let's move
that
on with the episodes. They're talking about the weather.
Prince Canute wakes Thorfinn up after saying he was defeated, and Askeladd says Thorfinn lost because he was acting like an idiot. That once Thorfinn loses his temper, he stops thinking and becomes predictable. Askeladd then says all Norse warriors are the same. They lose their temper, they swing their swords wildly, and they fight like idiots without beauty. He says Bjorn was right, that he hates warriors, especially Viking warriors. And we learn the first person Askeladd ever killed was a Norse warrior, his father.
Whoa.
What a twist! But it doesn't feel like a twist.
Not surprising.
No, I was gonna say, from what little we know of Askeladd, does not shock me that he killed his father. And now it is story time with Askeladd. We learn that Askeladd's mother was a slave. She couldn't work, so Askeladd grew up working in the blacksmiths and the stables. He was always covered in ash, soot, and horse shit, and thus he adopted the nickname Askeladd. So King Swain was right. It is a nickname. His father, Olaf, was from a powerful family, and that Olaf loved booze, women, and killing. And that Olaf would often have sex with slaves, but he would only name his kids from his proper wife. So right off the get-go, Olaf sounds like a great guy.
He's a real stand-up citizen.
A real shame we lost that the Vinland Saga world lost Olaf.
Yeah. Pour
This is
one out
not
to a real one.
this is not Olaf from Frozen like in Warm Hugs.
Crap, I didn't make that connection. Could you imagine this dude could you imagine this dude looking the way he does being voiced by Josh Gad?
Oh,
Like from from the movie? Holy crap.
that'd be amazing.
I'd kill him
I,
too.
I I wonder if somewhere on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram someone made that voiceover. They took Josh Gad voicing Olaf and voiced Olaf from the show.
I would very much like to see that.
I would as well.
If no one's done it, maybe I'll have to.
Time for your editing skills there. Put them to the test there, Turtle.
We then learn that Askeladd's mother would always tell Askeladd about their ancestor, Artorius. And she would tell Askeladd this story so often that even Askeladd started to believe it. And Askeladd says that his mother's clan still believes that Artorius will return one day to slay all the barbarians. But Askeladd doesn't really believe it. He's like, if Artorius found paradise, why the hell would he want to return to this world?
Fair question.
Yeah, he has a very good point here.
I really love that though. He's like he's like, if you could leave hell, would you come back? Like it's like the way he talks about it, you know.
Man, I sure miss hell. It was so warm down there. I guess
Yeah,
I'll
it's like
return.
that's pretty much how he words like Earth, you know. So if you go to paradise, why the heck would you leave? Oh man.
We then learn that when Askeladd was 11, his mother lost her mind, and she started to believe that Olaf was Artorius. And they were in the streets, and she was crying and praising Olaf. And Olaf took out his sword and looked to strike her down where she stood, or kneeled in the streets, I guess I should say. And Askeladd saw what was happening. He picked up a sword and defended her. And we learned that this was the first time Askeladd ever used a sword. And he said it just felt right. Like, he's like, I somehow knew all of the moves. I knew how to swing it. I knew how to defend with it. Like, it just all clicked.
It sounds ridiculous, but there are people who are just kind of like born naturals at things. You know what I'm saying? Like there are people who like what is it? I think about one time I played Dance Dance Revolution, right? And I'd played for like say 10 hours of Dance Dance Revolution, and someone I know who had played for like an hour was pretty much as good as me. You know, so there's some people where like things just click. It's just you know, that's why some people they go on YouTube and they see like an 8-year-old jamming out on the guitar, and you're like, why would I ever try this? There's an 8-year-old who's better than me.
Yeah, I've seen videos, especially like in the music world. Guitar players, kids, singers. I've heard kids like singing, and they sound better than people who have record deals and are on the radio. And I'm like, good gracious, this child is like 8. How in the world can they sound that good?
Yep. So Askeladd just has the right genetics, I guess.
We should not be surprised. Olaf bested Askeladd in this duel, or in this fight. But during this fight, Olaf recognized him and started to wonder if Askeladd was his son. And Askeladd said, "Yes, sir. Like, this is my mother. You are my father." And it was then that Olaf started to show respect for Askeladd and said, "Okay, well, from now on, you're coming to live with me in the manor, and you will be recognized as my son. You will train with us. You'll like everything that I have. You'll be a part of."
Talent recognizes talent.
We even get a little montage of Askeladd training with Olaf and his half brothers in archery and swordsmanship and dueling even with Olaf. And Olaf's like, "Oh, that's my boy," and like gives him pats on the head and everything. It's like, "Oh, that's so cute." And like during this montage, I'm like, this all feels very familiar with Thorfinn and Askeladd.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Remember way back when Askeladd's like, "Kid, you should have stabbed me in my sleep. You're an idiot." That's pretty much
Yup.
right here.
Yeah, we end up learning that Askeladd took 2 years to put his plan in place to be accepted as a son of Olaf and to be able to fully be recognized as an heir to Olaf for inheritance. And when it finally happened, he killed Olaf and Olaf's wife in their sleep while gaining his inheritance. And Askeladd, even back then as a 13-year-old, knew how to play the political game and used his older brother's sword. And we learned that the older brother never got along with Olaf, so the other brothers hung the older brother, believing he's the one who killed their father.
Yeah, I mean that's Askeladd's been plotting since he was a kid.
When you live that shitty life, it seems pretty easy to do.
It only took him 2 years to pull it off, where Thorfinn has, been 10 years trying to beat Askeladd, and he keeps getting nowhere.
Yeah,
Just getting his ass beat. Askeladd says he wishes Artorias, Ragnarok, the Christians' last reckoning, whatever the hell you want to call it, would just hurry up and get here. But he said it'll probably happen. I'll probably die before any of that stuff happens.
The end is near. The end is near.
Askeladd then concludes story time saying Thorfinn has spent 10 years trying to kill him, and what a fool Thorfinn is. And of course, Thorfinn gets pissy at this, and he says, "Oh, I'll definitely kill you now, old man." And Askeladd's like, "Really? Like, did you not listen to a single word of the story I just told you?" Like, Askeladd's pissed. Like, he's like legit pissed at this.
he's like, "Why did I waste my freaking breath? You don't learn a dang thing, you idiot!" Like, you're so mad.
He's like, "I finally gave you a lore dump, and this is how you act? You piece of shit."
Oh man, this show's never gonna lore dump again.
Thorfinn is legit stupid, but he's also like a dumb. He's like 13 years old at this point or something, right? Maybe 14,
16?
16.
'Cause
He's a
he was
dumb
6
teenager.
whenever he's
Yeah,
not
Oh yeah,
quite Goku level yet.
yeah. He's a dumb teenager. He hasn't even hit his growth spurt, and like I don't know. It's just like he's just stupid and angry because he has all those hormones. And yeah, I don't know. He just maybe he'll gain some wisdom. Maybe it may be he'll learn from this story and kill Askeladd in his sleep. Like Askeladd, honestly, kind of seems to want Thorfinn to do.
I almost wonder if Askeladd feels bad about how he killed Olaf, and that's why he just is sort of hoping Thorfinn will kill him in his sleep.
I think he feels worse about killing Thor's than Olaf. Olaf was kind of a piece of shit.
I think he feels bad about a lot of things he's done in his life. Honestly, like he's not lived a good life, and he's not been a good man. He doesn't even like killing people. and he's killed so many.
Askeladd then gets under Thorfinn's skin by saying, Thorfinn, I'm grateful for all the work you've done for me over the years. And he's like, all it took for you to do what I asked for was promising you a dole. Hell, you even went and tried to fight Thorkel for me if I told you to get you a dole. And then he's like, you know what? I'm going to twist the knife even harder here and say, you know what? As grateful as I am for you, I am just as grateful to Thor's. And this just broke Thorfinn.
I really think he wants to die. I think Askeladd's ready. They talked to him earlier. They asked him, they're like, "Hey, how's your sword arm?" And how's your leg? And he's like, "I guess I can still fight, but I was shot by like a lot of arrows." So you're like this dude. He's getting older. His body's breaking down. He's talked about it how many times? The dude hates everything he's done in his life. He was dealt a bad hand. He's ready to die. I'm telling you. Like, I think Askeladd's dead in the next 2 episodes.
It would feel very like a very logical conclusion for season 1.
I could see it.
Thorfinn then, of course, wants to keep fighting. And Prince Canut's like, Thorfinn, why don't we take a break here? Like, give yourself some time to heal, like, and get control of it over yourself. And even Thorkel's like, yeah, you need to stop because this is pathetic. Askeladd then picks up Bjorn's body and takes it off to bury. And as he walks away, Prince Canut's like, Askeladd, why me? Like, why did you pick me to be king? Like, you could have done it. You could have picked anyone. And Askeladd's like, you're far better suited to be king than I am.
In the one line he has, he says, "I'm just a Viking," as he's walking away. It's funny because earlier he talks about how much he hates Vikings. He's like, "I hate Vikings, no matter what. I hate them so much." And then he's like, "Me as king? Nope. I'm just a Viking."
I did think that was interesting. Just
So
shows,
essentially, the self-loathing.
yep. I thought that was very interesting.
I kind of wonder, like, what drove him to this life? Like, we got to see, okay, he killed Olaf. He got whatever inheritance he got, and then, like, then what happened? How did he get to this lifestyle? He can't stand these Vikings, yet he chose to become a Viking. For what reason?
Maybe he figured this was the only way he could find King Artorias.
Maybe. I wonder if we're going to get that answer within the next 2 episodes here, being it's the end of season 1.
I think the next episodes are going to be unbelievably eventful.
I haven't watched any of the last 2 episodes, but when I pull the episode titles from IMDb, I have seen that on IMDb the finale has a 9.9 rating out of 10. So I
Wow.
am very excited to watch the finale.
Well, the Anne episode got a high rating too, and that sucked. So
Yeah, you have a point there.
just take
I
it with a
still
grain of salt. That's all.
I still keep hoping that will eventually pay off in some way.
It won't.
No, the moment's passed.
Let me live, damn it! Let me live. Let me dream.
I'd start thinking some other dreams because I don't think that's going to happen.
The episode ends with Thorfinn looking into his blade, and we get a montage of all the moments of Thorfinn leading up to this point. And he just sort of looks up to the sky and starts screaming and crying. And that's how the episode ends.
Poor kid's broken, man.
Like, these weren't like, just like, oh, like, these were like cries of despair.
It was a pretty heavy episode.
It really was.
100%. It was. I will say it was my favorite episode of the season of the series so far. Personally, just personally for me, my favorite one.
I can totally see that.
That's fair.
This episode was really good. I think it's hard for me to choose out of the last 4 episodes because they've all been so good. Like, these last 4 episodes have been fantastic from top to bottom.
I think I'm gonna still sit with episode 19 as being my favorite so far.
Till we get to the
What did you?
finale.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully, it's as good as the Anne episode.
What did you two think of these episodes?
Go ahead, Sean.
Like I said, first episode was pretty good. Second episode was my absolute favorite so far. I'm fully invested in Askeladd. Can't wait till he dies soon. Next.
Can't wait for him to die. I like these episodes as well. I think they're really good. I think I liked last week's episodes better. But this last one here is really heavy, very emotional. The music for this episode in particular has been really, really good. Especially like they do the Bjorn death sequence again in the beginning, and you know he's like, oh, why do I gotta watch this again? But like the score is totally different this time around. It's very emotional, very sad, but also sort of like fulfilling. Where like Bjorn knew he was gonna die, and he would rather go out in a battle against Askeladd, who he truly respected, and that just I mean the music behind all that the second time around was just so much better. Yeah, I like these episodes. They're really good, and can't wait to see the last two here for season one.
I mean, Bjorn had to go out in a battle so he could get into Valhalla.
And he belongs there, mushrooms and all.
I heard there's limitless mushrooms in Valhalla for Bjorn.
Berserk shrooms just grow in Valhalla everywhere. He's putting them on his salads because Vikings eat salads.
I found these two episodes interesting. Like when I first watched them, I'm like, oh, they were good, but I'm like, they weren't as good as the last two episodes. And then the more I look back on these episodes, I'm like, man, these episodes were amazing. Like they didn't have like the action and everything as the last two episodes, but like you got the Askeladd lore dump finally. You got all the political conniving and planning. Like you can like it's like, all right, I don't need the action. Like I'm starting to get the smart game here. Like shit's about to go down, and we're seeing how it's like we're getting an idea of how it will play out. I will say they weren't they. I still like the last two episodes more, but these episodes were also bangers. And now it is time for the waifu of the week. Turtle, who is your waifu of the week and why?
This week, I gotta go with Bjorn, man. I don't know if I have picked him maybe one other time, and he's gone. He's left us, so I feel like now's the best time to pick Bjorn. He, he followed Askeladd because he respected him, and he wanted to be friends with him. And in the end, I think as much as Askeladd does not want to become, attached to anybody, he was attached to Bjorn. He really did view him as a friend. And no matter what he asked Bjorn to do, Bjorn was always there to do what he was asked and pull his weight. So I'm going to go with Bjorn. You will be missed. What a bro.
Sean, who is your waifu of the week?
For me, I gotta pick Askeladd. His story was pretty wild. I thought it was a really well put together story. It made him an extremely convincing character. Like, I can't believe how much I care about this guy. So yeah, no, it's really cool. Probably depending on what happens, probably gonna be my waifu of the week next week too. I don't even know what he's gonna do yet. I'm predicting
Die.
this. Yeah, die. Yeah.
He's going to die next week. That's what you
He's
said.
gonna die.
Yeah, he's gonna die, so then you have to pick him for one last time. His farewell of the show
I'm going to pick Thorkel.
for killing Askeladd.
Maybe that might be a thing. That might be a thing.
I'm also gonna go with Askeladd again this week. It was so great to finally get some lore dump for Askeladd and learn about his upbringing and the hard life he lived. I mean, we knew some small details about his mother and everything, but like we got legit backstory on him this time. And while he hates most warriors, we saw how he actually did care for Bjorn. Like he let him go out in a battle. He went off to bury him, like, deep down he cares about him. And, like, I think deep down he cares about Thorfinn in his own way. I think he just wishes Thorfinn would stop being a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I mean, if he really wanted him dead, he would have killed him by now.
I mean, he had more than enough opportunities to do it.
Absolutely.
I think deep down Askeladd doesn't want Thorfinn to live the same life that he did. I think Askeladd sees a lot of similarities between the two in their upbringings. I mean, part of it was because Askeladd was the father, more or less. But I think Askeladd sees all the regrets he has from his life, and he doesn't want Thorfinn to have those same regrets.
He's like trying to teach him life lessons, and you don't teach someone life lessons if, you know, if you plan on killing them.
Thank you all for joining us this week as we watched Vinland Saga. We hope you join us next week for episode 27 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will watch episodes 23 and 24 of Vinland Saga. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. If you are listening on YouTube, please like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Turtle, do you have anything you would like to plug?
As always, you can follow me on my YouTube channel, RPG Treasure Trove.
Sean, do you have anything you would like to plug?
Yeah, the Demon Files is coming back. Give us a listen, please. Spotify. Anywhere you listen, not on YouTube yet, considering putting some episodes up.
The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you next week.